Okay, so you guys here need to know that the powers that be it are working hard to mute me down. I mean, they legitimately are because they like even erased like half my views, which is like I had like over 500,000 views, and then they just went through this thing, and I didn't delete certain things. They're hidden right now because I haven't gone through what I needed to do on those. And they've been doing all kinds of stuff. So like sometimes like I'll post something and it goes automatically private, like right away. And I don't put it private. And then I have to go back to it. And then it starts like trying to erase my comments. And even when I put no filter, right? Nothing. Don't take everything off. Then it'll start doing that. So then I have to go throw it into the other section where they can't take it off. It's like I could say it in a clip, it's fine, but all of a sudden, if I put it somewhere else, they take it off. Okay, so then it doesn't notify me about everyone's comments. I've tried to mess with this thing a million times over. Just no matter what, it keeps doing it. So sometimes it's not me. It's not me. Now you'll know if I don't like you because you're posting evil things to me and I will try to delete it. Now I guess I can't block people. Now I have to just sit there and let them do it and then just go through their thing. Okay. So then, and they let those things go through. Um, yeah, just for some reason. So if it's blocking you, I don't have any, like, I don't know how to do blocking anymore because I don't know. They changed the thing. Or like now you could just like say hide their comments. Like I don't know. They keep doing stuff and it's like totally jacked up. So then I go check to see because somebody said they couldn't post something and I go look and then I saw these other comments that I didn't even see before and I got some person like saying, "Don't I feel crazy like putting all this stuff up and nobody listens to it?" I'm like, "Well, obviously you do because you're here." I mean, I didn't respond back to him, but I didn't even know they posted that. They're related to those band people, those rapists over there. Okay, so anyway, but I saw some people put some comments that actually did go through, and I go, they're not there on the page. This is a weird thing. So I'm on the page and it never showed it to me. So then I go back to the page and I go again. I'm like, where are the comments? They're not there. It's saying they're posted. So then I had to go click on that sort through thing and then it throws it up. And I'm like, yeah, no. So basically, it's like hidden from me unless I screw around with the comment section. Yeah, no. The way that they're doing this is awful. And I guarantee you they're having issues because, like, I talk on the major news stuff. So, like, they're trying to, like, throw me down. I was always quite top on that area right there because, I tackle the real stuff. Things that are in the news and things that have not made the news yet. So one thing that didn't make the news yet at the time of is the rapist cops because everybody like promotes rape. So obviously the rapists. I don't know what happened here. I remember this story from I think last year where the guy like totally got killed in their training thing. So I guess the mom came and spoke out, right? And I told you I just recently called the investigator. Oh my God. Oh, these people are awful. So they have a protection on their investigation site, just like the LASD gangs. So they're gang members. Okay. They are gang members. So this guy gets killed. So the mom gives some interesting information here. Houston Tipping's death. Mom of LAPD officer claims her son was killed because he knew too much. That actually may be true. They've been massive gang members, so they will bully us to death and they make threats and they do evil, vile things and do it in such a way that it makes it seem like, I don't know. It's the craziest thing how they did this whole thing for decades on me. I go, they're just an operating gang. They're an operating cult. They're like a cult of men that it's like it's all organized crime obviously, but the conduct of theirs is so intricate how they did it because it's like, okay, so they did all these crimes, like in Rampart, right? So then they go, oh, there's all these unsolved crimes from Rampart, these rapes, right? Because they raped everybody. And then but then when you go to the investigators to try to get things investigated, like even from that time, they cut you off. So they don't allow it to even happen. And so then they'll continually then retaliate, right? So like having me move into their house and saying, you don't want any trouble because we're LAPD. doing this shit. And I'm like, it's not me contacting LAPD to be friends with any of them. They're the ones coming to me and then causing harm, right? So then how come some harmful thing happens right after they're in my life, right? So they sneak on in, and then all of a sudden this horrible situation happens, right? Because they're obtaining information. Obviously I believe that they were trying to get some type of information. It just could be on a whole thing of like, who am I with? It could be that. It could be, well, and then they want to hurt me. Yeah, so they don't like, okay, so here's the thing. They don't like organization. I mean, they don't like parts of government, like they don't like FBI, right? So like these groups of people in government don't technically get along most of the time, and then, or if they do, they have to, I don't know. It's a weird thing. They have a fear of each other, and all sorts of things like that. So I don't know if they were trying, I have no idea. I could suspect all day what the hell is up their butt. But they, and I recently had a call because they were doing some misconduct, like some misconduct thing happened over here, right? And so, yeah, so apparently they got freaked out. They got caught in their bullshit, and the next time, yeah, I can't talk about all that. It's pretty bad. But they got caught, and then all of a sudden they act normal on this next round. And yeah, and so, but I saw the guy was bragging about how long he was working there. And I go, "Oh my God, I didn't even ask for that, but you just helped me out. You just told me that you were the hire during the Rampart time." And they're involved in the investigation area of LAPD. I go, oh shit. And then, okay, so then the Corey Paul, that thing right there. Okay, so that's another thing. And the leaks. So I knew leaks were happening. Like that was the scary thing about the 2001 thing. And that's in revolving around the sheriffs, but they're all the same because they were dealing with the same stuff. And, but I was concerned because I was like, okay, but if I say anything in relation to that on this document, it's going to go, somehow it's going to go through to them or something. Mostly if it's a criminal thing like that. So I told them at the labor board, I go, yeah, I fear for my safety. So, we need to be anonymous. And then they promised me that, and then it didn't happen. They leaked it, obviously, and then they covered themselves. And they lied to me. I got lied to that they lost their badges, and nobody lost their badges. They literally got busted for rape, and they let them still work. They let rapist fucking cops still work. And I was like, oh, I had no idea about this. That came up in the investigation. So the LAPD, I didn't know they were rapists. Okay, so that was the earliest point of everything. Where they knew about these people on me, watching it, and then covered it up. And then brought this case forward on the other celebrity person. Yeah, yes. Absolutely. And I was like, okay, but it's hard when you're looking at a thing like this, and it's just you as the victim, right? Or you're aware of yourself, like what's happening in it. You don't know what else is going on in the story. And that's why, like, even on the gang thing, like, I had no idea there was a million different sheriff gangs. I had no idea. I knew that was or at least it appeared as a gang. I didn't know they actually had a gang name. So I gave them a gang name, but I knew they were organized. They were organized crime, right? So that much I knew. I couldn't solidly come out here and go, oh, wow, there's a million gangs, in the sheriff's department. But I knew that, and I was calling them a gang. The way how they were operating. And they were rapists. And yeah, so that's why when you go to the police, so the general dumb public, that goes to the police and they're like, hey, I got raped. And they're like, well, we don't consider that rape and we're not doing anything about it. Well, there's a reason for that. So that's what I'm saying. I go, there's this whole thing going on. And it was not just towards people of color. That is a bald-faced lie. That whole time there, they were always pro-raping women. Generally. They were pro-raping everybody. Because the men were raping other men. So it was never a thing where anybody was actually against rape. That's just the fundamental truth about that whole thing. So this guy comes in, I guess, and he's in the center of a bombshell accusation from the mother of an officer during a training drill. Okay, so they'll use something like that to retaliate. Like, we're going to be totally shitty in the training towards this guy, right? Shirley believes her son was killed because he knew too much about the rape allegations against his colleagues at LAPD. That may be true. That actually may be true. I'm angry, disgusted, heartbroken. Life is just different without him because of what they did. She said her son feared possible retaliation from the accusers. Wait, does that make sense? Her son feared possible retaliation from the accusers. You mean the accused? The rapist? Okay, because the accusers would be like the rape victims of that. Like, okay, am I reading this right? Okay. He was concerned enough that he was looking to leave. His intention was to leave. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Huffman's attorney, Bradley Gage, said Tipping was an instructor at the police academy and was conducting a training exercise when he was gravely injured. After he became the instructor there, well, when did he? Okay, I think he came in after a lot of my stuff, so I don't know when. I don't know information here. Okay. After he became the instructor there, one of the accused officers signed up for the class. Oh, God. Went into the class, engaged in intentional acts against my client, including putting him into a headlock, yeah, which he admits in his deposition testimony that we have, and also picking him up in what is known as a pile driver. Yeah, wrestling move, yeah. My brother did that shit to my arm, and then a cop came and they covered it up. Like, that was a whole nother thing. But it wasn't here in LAPD. Tipping ended up dying in the hospital days after the training incident. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, I mean, that sounds reasonable. Michael Moore, who is from the worst time ever where they were all rapists, insists Tipping was not attacked. He was not beaten up by a group of officers. Gage had since filed a lawsuit alleging wrongful death, okay, and battery whistleblower retaliation. Yeah, why do you think they handed me a gutter map? So there was a female. Oh my God, last night on TV, I freaked the hell out. I don't think it's the same woman, but it looked like the same woman. There was a female that was talking for the Las Vegas Police Department or Sheriff's Department on a show from some case that was in the last, I don't know, decade or so. Or no, maybe it was in 2011. That female reminded me of the female that was at Red Cross, and she was talking shit saying, oh, the cops are so hot. They wouldn't do that to anybody. Like, she exposed the information that I was telling her in front of the cop, and she said he was hot. I don't think that's the lady, because that would mean that she would have been, it would have aged her more, because this happened in, when was that? 2017, and that thing was taped in 2011. I think, I don't know when it was taped. The case was 2011. I don't know. I think I would have remembered one other aspect about that lady, but it reminded me of her, right? I was like looking at her, go, do I know that lady? That lady's damn familiar. And I was like, examining it, because I could totally see that happening. Oh, she outed. They were not supposed to out my information. I'm a sex crime victim. So if I tell Red Cross, my perpetrators are here, you need to protect me from this shit right here. So they let all the gang member cops come into Red Cross, and they were sitting there playing on their phones, and they were watching me while I slept. And I was like, oh my God, could this be any more terrifying? I mean, just the whole thing about it. Okay, and then to sit there and leak that right in front of him. Oh, those guys right there, that guy is so hot. He wouldn't do any, like, really loud. He's right there. I go, I don't know who the gang members are. Like, I can't, you just put me in danger. So the next thing they did, they gave me a gutter map. Yeah. Red Cross put me in danger. So Red Cross is as guilty as any other party in here. So I was exposing that on Twitter, and this is when the targets were happening, you guys. It was when I was mentioning that and them leaving me in a fire. So then they also left me in a fire. So the cops were like literally parked by me. They left me in the fire in Bel Air. And I go, dude, that's a major thing. So why wouldn't the media run it? I go, the fucking media was there. So when the media came there, the cops were there, right? Well, when I was there, the cops were parked literally, like, I don't know, about 20 feet or 30 feet away from me. They were just on the other side of the fence. Like, my car was right there. And the cop was like on his bullhorn, telling everybody else, you need to go back. And then they were walking around. And so I had no idea there was even a fire there. And I go, they just left me. And then he took off. And then I was tweeting all the events from the night before it happened, to the hours into it. So I fled the fire because it was in front of me. And so then I said, oh my God, I had to go get like dressed at this fucking gas station. And I had to drive into Studio City. And then, yeah. And then I started finding out that the rabbi went to go get the scrolls and they just left me there. And I mean, how fucking bad is that? That's really bad. Because they were supposed to protect me overnight because there was a security guard that was supposed to be there. And I was saying in the nighttime, I go, God, I hope there's no fire here. And that was because the Silmar fire was going. So I was like thinking about it. I was like, God, wouldn't that be awful if like everything over here, but I actually didn't think it was going to happen. Sure enough, hours later, fire. And then they try to blame homeless people. And I'm like, I don't trust none of that shit right there. Because every night I'd see these cops. I thought they were cops. On these motorcycles speeding by the Jewish synagogue. And I was like, I don't know who the hell those people are, but they're breaking the law. And it's a gang of them. And then I taped it. And I put it online. And then people said it's all black. I go, well, I don't know. But I literally had a video of them on their motorcycles. And it was so fast that you can't even if you slow motion it, it's just streaks. So you can't tell if it's a cop motorcycle. And that's what I was trying to figure out. I go, why is this going on right here? So then they came back. Okay, so after the fire, I went back over to the synagogue. And it happened again, I believe. Yeah, so, yeah. Yeah, I told you the guys at the police academy were really bad, though. So when I was living with LAPD down in Reseda, they had a bunch of guys from the academy, I think, come over and they had some drunk cop party out in the backyard. Some big old barbecue. And then I was like, I don't know any single one of those guys. I don't know them. I just don't know them. They just had me move in there, you guys. So I don't know these individuals. They are strangers. They're not people that are known to me. So that's categorically wrong of anybody saying that all the perpetrators are people known to you. I do not know these people. The officer offered me to move into their place to rent a room. I had pets at the time, so I had a dog and a bunch of cats. So I said, yeah, I have a dog and a bunch of cats. And all this, and then, so then they responded to the ad and then had me move in. But once they had me move in, then their parents started coming after me and saying that they rent it out to somebody else and have to move. And that's incorrect. The officer was playing that the place was his. I go, oh, your parents live nearby? Yeah. But he didn't actually mention that they lived on the other side of the property, on the other street, like right behind the property. Like, he didn't say that. And he also didn't say that they own the property. So apparently they own the property, but I have no legal agreements with the property owner. So, okay. So this is where they lost their case because I did not make an agreement with the mom. I never did. She wasn't my landlord. I made the agreement with the police officer. So the police officer had me move in. Regardless of anything, you don't do a contract, you don't do anything, you don't take money. I'm still a legal tenant there. So they started playing a game saying I broke into the home and that all this crap happened, right? So that's why I was like, who's making that shit up? LAPD. Those are the only people I know that have ever made up a story like that. And it's ridiculous because even if it was true, LAPD came on scene and told the LAPD officer's dad that even regardless if that's true, she's still a tenant now and you can't bother her and you're going to get arrested. That's what they said. So recently, I had this officer over here trying to start some shit and I called and then he said that, this is what he told me. He said that he would have done that too or some shit. What this conduct was going on. I go, wow. And then he's like, yeah, I've been an officer since that. Well, he didn't say Rampart, but he said from the Rampart time, right? And he said that he would have done that. And I go, well, that's interesting because your other officers basically said that they would have arrested you. And then all of a sudden, shit changed a little bit over here. So, but they will not talk to me. No. They're actually scared of me. I think that they're not scared of me to do retaliations, but they're scared of me to talk. Because I think like they probably just think they're being tapped the whole fucking time, which I hope they are. It's not by me. I should be. Like I should be. I honest to God think that they're afraid of being thrown in prison. Yes. And because their conduct is that bad. Mm-hmm. And that they would prefer me to die. And so they tried to annihilate me by throwing me in the street and doing the gutter map. Yes, that was a retaliation. And I'm not with the department. So that retaliation, what I was trying to say about it is, even though I'm going after what I know on our cases, what I'm seeing is the areas where I'm hitting actually revolves around a lot of other people as well. Like they're covering up rapes and crimes on other individuals, such as the last case that I pulled up with Les, right? I don't know Les, okay? Les is a stranger to me. However, that case is revolving around officers on the inside leaking information to other celebrity men. That's what we're hitting on. Now, it's quite wide, right? It's not even like what I'm going at is the stuff after me, right? Like I'm harmed. I'm trying to go, we need this investigated. But what's happening is I'm stumbling on something that's much bigger. And that happened in the sheriff thing too, right? That's why I said you got to be really careful this stuff because that's the thing. You don't kind of know what you're dealing with, and where the public is just piles of crap. Okay, they worship these guys. They think they have this idea of them. And the truth is, it's massive organized crime. Now, for the rich guys, they love it because it's helping them out, right? So it's their protection, right? So they have no incentive of going after these guys. So they've all been dabbling around with corrupt conduct. The celebrity men, yes. Yes. People I liked, yes. And so when you have something like that, yeah, it's very dangerous. And they use the term snitchings like anybody else. That's for men. That's the protection of men.
This is a difficult case. The LAPD has always maintained this was a horrible accident, but the family of Officer Houston Tippett...
Oh yeah, it was a horrible accident. I got thrown in the street with gutter maps by LAPD after somebody from the Red Cross was like taunting me in front of an LAPD officer that they wouldn't do anything bad to me. That's what she said right before it even happened. And I was like, no way. And again, if you're told, if an agency, whoever they are, an organization, a charity, a fucking government entity, if you're told that these people are a danger to me, the first thing you shouldn't do as a woman, even as a damn woman doing that shit, go and out that information right in front of them. And then that, like I said, she's so stupid. She's like, am I held to HIPAA? That's what she said. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that has to do with this, but this woman just threw me under to the sharks. And exactly what happened, right? And how long did that last? Months. I will never recover mentally from what they did there. That was not by choice. That was a hate crime. And then they refused to give me cash aid. I go, we're in the middle of a fucking lawsuit. We're in the middle of investigating LAPD. We're literally in the middle of investigating LAPD. And you're going to let the people we're investigating do this shit to me and play pretend it's not part of a retaliation. Yeah. And FBI's just sitting back. This is what pissed me off. I go, see, FBI ain't on my side. So if you ever question that, FBI just sit back. Oh, she get thrown all over the place. This is awesome. I go, oh my God, I could have literally died in this fucking fire, you assholes. Do you think I'm going to forgive that? No. Like, I'm sitting there thinking, like, somebody going to save me? Somebody's not tapping my phone? Please tap my phone. It was like that thing. I have nothing to hide. And I'm just sitting there like, when I'm talking to one of the fucking gang member the cops over there, and they're like, we won't take any information from you. I was like, please tell me my phone is fucking tapped. Please, God, tell me my phone is fucking tapped. I didn't even expect this, but holy shit. Yeah, and it just happens like that. Like, I'm not prepared for that kind of shit. Because, like, I don't know. Like, should I expect that? I mean, I don't know anybody in public that should expect that. I'm not going to take any criminal complaints from you, from our officers on you. Okay, that's a major crime. I mean, what the fuck? So they're just covering themselves at that point. They absolutely said it. And so the very next thing was that guy freaked out going, I'm scared of the Fed pen and I got to sue them and they're a bunch of gangbangers. And then he wins. He won. So it backed me up. And I'm just like, thank you. And then nothing happened after it, right? It was like years ago. And then I'm like, but I'm validated. What people want me to see, I have these like total asshole bully guys, right? Even in the music thing, coming over here saying I should feel bad because I don't have 1 million views. I'm like, if I had 1 million views, the world wouldn't be a fucked up place. The public is dumb. Okay, so they like to watch dumb fucking entertainment. And it's unfortunate, but there are some people here that listen, and they're the people, they matter. And they're starting to see it. And eventually, the rest of you will. I'm usually about a decade ahead of everyone as far as like the dark corners of the universe here. Okay, so as far as the LAPD thing, no, you could have went back into my Twitter. I was talking about it way over a decade ago. And before they went on that whole bullshit fest over there. No, I was outright talking about it, and I was like, yeah, they're a bunch of rapists. And so this officer, he seemed pretty young. Wait, how old was he? I don't think he's part of... Let me see something. Because this story, I did talk about it. I remember that, but not this other thing. Because that just came out on the 16th? Yeah, no. Okay, he's a 5-year veteran. Bike instructor. No, he would have definitely not have been a part of any of that gang activity, that thing that I'm talking about. So, thank God. So I can't sit there and go, oh, this guy, right? That's why I said, it's hard to know. Because, number one, I have to look at their ages. 2, how long they've been with the department. And 3, they could have joined into a gang when they started recently. But it seems that in this other situation, from the information that I obtained, it seems that there's other bad individuals in the department that are overseeing the new guys and telling them to be bad. That was a new thing. So, I mean, you kind of expect it, like it's kind of going like that, but that seems to be what happened in this other thing. No matter what you guys want to do, you should not be promoting these guys to be gang members and breaking the law. That's it. Because it's going to happen to you in the worst fucking way. And the guys that are overseeing them, they're sergeant dudes, they're supervisor, they're at fault. Okay, so you have somebody like that guy, right? He's like a 5-year guy, but there'll be somebody over him. Let me see what happened here. So yeah, 32. There's no. Like I would have been like, okay, well, could he have started like 10 years ago at 22? Yeah, he could have, but it says he's a 5-year veteran. So no, he wasn't even working during he wasn't working. Well, he started right at the investigation time, I think. If he's a 5-year veteran and he died in 2022. Yeah, no, he walked right into hell. He walked right into hell and died. That's effed up, dude. No, I'm on the family side, dude. That's why I said, I go, he probably had that same ignorant thought about the cops. And you walked right into the mafia. Basically, that's what happened because, yeah, like I said, I go, me, like, just, you have this level of thinking about things, and it's just like, oh my God, these guys are so awful, and it's not just a few. It's all of them. And how they're placed, like where they're placed in the department to protect its house. And them on the phone, like flat out, like you can't report it. And them coming on scene, changing the report. Them laughing, them hoping I die. They were hoping I died. They were laughing all their way fucking at the fucking emergency room. They were laughing at the emergency room. That thing, oh my God. It's frightening because of what they said and what they thought was funny, which wasn't the case of why I was there. And I'm just sitting there going, oh, they're going to play this game like I hurt myself. I was like, nobody hurt themselves. We have a suspect in that case. There was a woman, yes. And if somebody wanted to investigate that, they would have seen who was on the phone with me right before the ambulance, right? Yeah, that girl right there. Okay, that was one. Suspect one. They didn't do shit with that. They were sitting there lashing out on me, going, well, the doctors are supposed to report that to us. I go, well, the doctor couldn't find it because you guys didn't do the proper test. You guys denied me medical. And then the cops were in here laughing. And I freaked the hell out. I was like, you know what? I'm totally fine. I'm going to go home. Yeah, they were laughing. I was like, I don't find anything funny about this situation. But I thought nothing really bad happened to me. That I thought it was an accidental thing from somebody. And then I didn't think anything really bad happened to me until 2 weeks after the fact. And all of a sudden, 2 weeks after the fact, I was ill as fuck. And then we saw black in my mouth. And then the metal thing came later. So then they're like, oh, arsenic. Who are you around? Are you feeding yourself? Or these questions started coming up from the doctors. And I was like, holy shit, you're telling me that somebody might have tried to kill me? Yeah, it turned into a different thing. Because initially, everybody was like, oh, that girl probably accidentally put her fucking shit up in your shit. Yeah, that was the initial story with these girls. And I'm just sitting there and I confronted her and she started being really shitty to me. And I'm like, why are you shitting to me? Shouldn't you, don't you care that I fucking could have died? No. So she was totally suspect number one because she was the one that was going on like that. But then it turned into with the doctors where they're like, oh, we need to swab you because arsenic. And I'm like, what? Yeah, so who would have the MO to do arsenic? Well, there's two parties here. The celebrity camp people, right? That dude killed himself. The other dude, that dude right before that. And then the freaking cops. Well, if you want to look at the human trafficking ring people, okay. I have not had any incident that I can pinpoint that would be related to that case at this time. That girl was not related in any which shape, or form to that, to my knowledge. She was related to a person that was on tour at the Ozfest where I got kidnapped. That was a connection. And I was like, well, I mean, is it a stretch to say any of that? But another individual at my work was related to the perpetrator's boss. So there's two people here that I don't believe the other guy was present when the first initial incident happened. I think he came later. That stuff needs to be investigated. It's not a thing for LAPD to tell me to go investigate it myself and then tell them what I found. Basically, this is the conduct that they've been doing. Even in Woodland PD did the same type of thing. They're like, where is it at? It's like, well, it's over here. Well, give me all this information. It's like, well, I'd have to look it up. Because I'm not the one that, I don't know those people. The owner of the house? I don't know the owner of the house. But I know that all these people were there and all this stuff. And then it's just like a whole thing where they want me to do the investigation. Mainly, they want me to do the investigation and just throw them that information so they could sit there and say they did something. So I'm just sitting there, did you investigate it? No. Then the DA's office says, no, they're supposed to investigate it. I go, you sure? Because they're telling me this. Okay. So I go back, and they just started playing a volleyball game with the DA and the fucking cops, dude. They're fucking shitty, both of them. The DA's laughing at child rape. The fucking cops are fucking up the child rape case. And then they're having me do the investigations. I'm like, I do not get paid for this. Do you want to pay me the 40 an hour that my dad used to get from the 80s? Like what? I'm sure it's way more now. It's probably 100 an hour. If not more. I mean, if lawyers are $3.50 an hour, somewhere between that 100 and 350, $3.50 or to 500 an hour. It's a lot of work, you guys. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work for me to hunt down somebody in fucking Israel, which I did. It's a lot of work because it takes a lot of time and a lot of screwing around just trying to figure out, okay, where else can I look? Where else can I look? And that's just on a person. And so when I'm talking to other people, I'm trying to find other victims. I'm trying to find witnesses. I'm trying to obtain whatever information that I can, because the cops ask me before I even go to them. They want that information before I even go to them. I can't just go, oh, some guy did this. They're like, okay, well, who? Where? This, the other. I find the mom to be credible in this case. I believe her. And that's about the conduct that they've been doing. So, they'll do something just like that. They'll stop me. They'll do some corrupt conduct. And then they go, oh, we stopped her because of this legal reason. It's unfounded. That's what they do, right? So when they do that fucking gutter map thing, it was so vile and evil and gross. It was a hate crime. They did it because they were under investigation. There's a retaliation. I mean, what the fuck is that? To me? So to sit there and say that we're not going to give you cash aid or a shelter while we're in a lawsuit, my lawyer's so corrupt in this because he was enjoying the abuse because he's looking at it going, oh, we can get more money. And I'm like, I'm literally not going to be able to handle this. I'm literally losing it because I'm a victim and I don't need to be re-abused in the middle of investigations. And they're doing it on purpose to ward off any problems, right? So there's SOLs on their crap because the male sup rapist fucking made these rules and laws to where you have a time limit, right? So LAPD fucks with the time limits and the SOLs and fucks off cases, and then it's on you, right? It's like, oh, oops, we didn't do anything for 5 years. Well, your case is fucked now, so too bad. Yeah. That's the shit they've been doing. It's that frat housey culture that you guys are talking about. They're just rapists. They're criminal rapists. And they think that shit's funny. And they think that raping everybody's totally fine. And they enjoy it. And they do it because they hate you. They think you deserve to be raped. They do it out of hate. They do it to punish you. That's exactly the mindset. That's why I pulled up the other thing, because I go, yeah, the mindset of the rapist. It's not about, oh, we need to learn consent. They know consent. They want to be monsters. They are monsters. And there's no way that you could work in LAPD, and mostly not in the Hollywood division, in 1992 without being a total corrupt criminal rapist. You cannot work at a department where they were trying to claim half the department was corrupt. No, the entire department would be corrupt. 50%? Yeah. That would be the entire department is corrupt. Because you didn't get rid of that 50%. You have to go by what those criminal guys are doing, because they're going to bully the good guys, right? If there is anyone. And there wasn't, oh God, no, there was no good one at that time. So them trying to claim that, oh, we just found out about a drug ring in fucking September is full of shit. That was so full of shit. I was like, oh my God. Because I didn't read the court case. When this thing happened, I already knew the whole story, right? And then I think the kidnapper dude or whatever probably brought up that she got arrested, right? And I'm just thinking, thank God they got arrested. Like, I was just thinking this thing. Thank God they got arrested. And then I didn't even look at the case, like, for years, okay? I'm busy doing my music. I'm busy dealing with these other predators and everything else. And then it wasn't until, like, I got ill. That whole thing where they were, like, arsenic. And I sat down on the computer, and this is when all that Paris Hilton shit started. But that crap, all this shit came up, right? And Brittany, you know, oh, totally. I would never read all this stuff, right? I would like never even get into that stuff because I'm so busy and I don't pay attention to celebrity news. It was not a thing. And then Perez Hilton pops up. You know what I mean? It came right here. And I had some time and I'm reading stuff. And yeah, what was my point with that? Like, what was my point with that? There was a point. Oh, anyways, they targeted the shit out of me right there. And this officer's hanging out with me, and they're just like, we see no problem with that. I go, is this normal for officers to just contact girls and just hang out like that? I don't think that seems appropriate. But somehow they'll turn themselves into victims. Somehow they always turn themselves into victims. Why is it the worst thing happening to me right now, and there's a cop right next to me? And the worst thing that happened to me is because I was living with a cop. It wasn't me living with somebody else where this situation happened where I'm just like in a gutter. Okay, so that happened with the LAPD officers. There's two. So the second one knew about stuff. And then, you know, the sewing machine thing. Oh, by the way, I bought my new sewing machine. So I made up for that whole fucking shit from all these years. I wanted my sewing machine back. It was a desperate thing because of the situation they put me in. But they also put me in another situation where I got bombed, which I don't know if it's a thing where he was sitting there watching that fucking thing over there and they go bomb him. They don't even care. I'm like right there. And I'm just like, don't use me for your bullshit. You know, because there has to be an MO to this thing. You know, they just randomly all love me. All the cops, because that's what the only two. We had some other cops in the story. And I don't know who they are. And then I have to go look. And then I find out, oh, it's an officer from fucking San Francisco. It's a fucking government pile of you-know-what from fucking Virginia. And it's not me. It's them coming to me. So they want to cover up all that. The back page thing was a big cover-up. I feel so bad for anybody that got busted in that thing. It was a sham. And when they did that, they botched the investigations on LAPD. Yeah, because they were trying to target people like me. They were trying to target girls. They were trying to target everything wrong, okay? People that are not victims. Just, you name it, okay? And I'm sitting there trying to actually go at, like, real human trafficking, you know, the real deal. And I'm trying to get them to look at the cop portion because the cop portion was so important in it because that cannot exist without the cops being involved. And I'm not the only one. That's why I pointed out with the bacon billionaire dude. because he's mad at Nygaard. But he did point out, he's like, these guys got to be all involved. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. There's no way in hell you could roam around with all these girls and do this shit without you thinking that you could just rape everybody and who cares? You know, there's a whole thing to it. And I was like, you know, you just start finding out a lot of stuff in this. And you don't find it out unless you're actually dealing with it and actually going at it. You could sit on your computer all day and have opinions about whatever, but you ain't living it. You ain't the one sitting there doing the investigations. You ain't the one sitting there talking to these guys. You ain't the one that got abused by these guys. And for any damn woman like Kamala to sit there and fucking protect that shit is disgusting. And there's no way that you could work up in there without knowing that information. It is not a hidden thing in that way. It's pretty in the open. You may find out, such as like somebody being accused of rape. So like, obviously this guy found out shit, right? You're going to see how the men are acting. There's no way in hell that you would be working there without knowing these guys are acting like a bunch of punks. Because they're acting like a bunch of punks to me. And that's just how they act. And they're in groups, so it's not. But the time that they came over here, the guy was alone. The guy's alone. I don't understand that. They're not supposed to be coming here alone, and their cams are supposed to be on, and they're not supposed to be putting their phone numbers in my fucking phone. And then trying to tell me to befriend perpetrators. Like, what the hell is that? But that's them. And then, so then they hid the crime of that RM shit on my car, and then the FU thing. That's them. That's retaliations. It's retaliations. Nobody know I'm here. You know, and you have to be stalking me to know cars and stuff like that. So then it goes into the old stories of, you know, who took my car. I have no idea. It could be the management there. They could have done it. It's a hate crime. You have to pay for that. If you did some crap like that, it's not legal. Yeah, so we're trying to tackle that thing there, and no, it's not just on people of color. That I don't know. People want to run with some bullshit, but that's absolutely not true. That's absolutely false. There's just people that want to, I don't know. I can't answer why people were doing that. The white girls were out on the street that whole time there, and they were harming those girls. Oh, they definitely harmed the black women, yeah, because of racism. I don't disagree with that. It's just that to sit there and say it was only them is absolutely false. And it was hard to tackle even in 92 because they had the riots, right? And so there was a problem with racism in America as always, right? But there was a really big tension right here at that time, so you couldn't go at it in the way that you would want to, because there's just too much, you know, crap going on here. But that's actually when it started happening, and it was actually happening long before that. They just have a general hatred towards females in general, and they were always rapists to everyone. The amount of male victims I'm trying to figure out, because they're not, okay, screw the football people, because we already know that they're a bunch of, they were terrible. But I'm talking about these males that ran away from home, right? Or they got thrown out of their home because they were gay. These cops were preying on the kids here, and I don't know the amount of children and maybe some young adults got harmed by these cops sexually because they took advantage of that. And at the time, they were really happy to do that because they felt like the kids were bad. So you deserve a punishment, right? You asked for it, right? This is their mindset about things. So, and they didn't care about rape at all then. They didn't call anybody a victim, you know, and everybody is purposely, you know, out there selling sex or some shit like that. I don't know. That was their mindset set with that thing. Even though that they know that it's men that do it, and they pimp girls out and they proposition them, even just talking on the street. Hi, who are you? Oh, hey, would you do this for $20? Yeah, that's them. So, there's a major problem here. And they admitted through the media that they were aware of a human trafficking ring way back then. And their wording about it is insane. It's just like, oh, we know these owners are pimping people out. Yeah, okay, well, that's human trafficking. And that doesn't tell you that anybody's involved, like anybody is consenting to that. So the truth was in that story that the girls didn't even know that was happening. And then they got forced into situations like that without even knowing. And so they created a lie through the media and kept running with this thing that, oh, they're all prostitutes, we need to bust them all, and they're just pimps, right? So then those cops would sit there and try to rape those girls. They would try to date those girls, but yet they go in the media and they're like, don't pay them, where the men are the victims, this thing. And I'm like, dude, they're major pimps, dude. They're running human trafficking rings, and they want to bully and cause fear and be monsters of women so they will consent to their bullshit over here. The setups on me are so horrible because I was such a good person. I helped people out. I did all this stuff and I stayed to myself. Like, I was so busy doing music, and all I was doing was hiring people, giving men my money the whole time. And um I wasn't involved in any criminal activity, and I'm just going to work and I'm doing my music. Like, basically that, right? And here's the cops chasing me like I'm some fucking wanted felon from fucking, like this thing's going on. And then they're demanding cash from me from my vehicle, and then if you don't pay, they take your top off and take a photo, this shit. But this is the conduct that's been going on for a long time, and we've been speaking out on. I've been very vocal on it. Um, Now, my perception of it at the time was so fucked up because I'm a victim to it. So it just was a normal thing for me every day. I go, is this how we live? Is this normal? Is this happening to you guys? No, apparently not. Yeah, it would. But like I said, I had to go to therapy because I was getting abused so much that it just seemed like that's how life is. It was so bad. And it's just like, I thought it happened to everybody. I mean, honestly, I'm like, here they are. Here goes my nerves, dude. They're gonna make up some shit. They're gonna fucking try to get money, and they're gonna do this. They're gonna do that. Why am I getting stopped like a million times a day, and then nothing happens after it? Okay, so it's just a terrorism. It's just a terrorism, dude. It's so difficult because it's so long. It happened for so long, for decades, and people trying to run over the story and try to create a thing about only themselves makes this problem worse because it's actually a lot. The scope of it is a lot bigger and broader than just some black male getting beat up on the street by a cop. It's a lot bigger than just, some women of color that they went and raped in a building. They've been doing so much damage in the background. They killed a woman from our workplace, not the place where I worked at, but in our field at another place. And they were okaying their officers to get a girl from those businesses, and they were not supposed to do that. That was against the rules. And they're not supposed to leave with those men. And they were okaying LAPD to do that. And then the guy goes and murders the girl. And I'm like, you get murdered for being involved in this stuff. That's what's scary about it. That's a real threat. And some of these men got murdered because of their conduct, and it's just the truth. But to sit there and put it all on, oh, they just shot some black guy running, is absolutely absurd. But it shows you the level of male supremacy where no one gives a shit what the fuck that cops do to females. Overall, females, they've been a shit to white women. They have been, regardless of what they've been saying. They've been telling them, oh, you deserve to be raped. Screwing up their domestic violence cases. They've been doing all kinds of things. So no, it has affected everybody across the board. Maybe some more than others. But they're actually kind of going off of, who they feel is like that they want to rape, if they think you're hot enough to, whatever their bullshit is of the day, they may give you some time to listen to. So so I guess they talked about it on, okay, so it goes, no matter how safe or controlled the training can be, accidents are still accidents. No, that wasn't, I don't believe that to be an accident. Because if that's true that they had the rapist officer come in there and he did that, or if any part of that, yeah. That's how okay, so figure the football, okay, the football culture right there, right? So when they're trying to bully a bunch of kids, and stuff. They purposely do stuff and then pretend like they didn't do anything on purpose, right? Do you guys remember, like, you would sit there and walk? Okay, what did they used to do? Okay, so you'd be walking in a hallway. So this is one of the shitty ass things they did. You'd be walking in a hallway or something, and all of a sudden they would kick their leg out so you trip and fall, right? And then everybody'd be like, oh no, we don't even know what happened, dude. I don't know. They fell, man. It's like fucked up, dude. We didn't do it. Bully shit like that, right? That's them. Uh huh. And they're hella shitty to talk to. Why are you gonna sit there and get shitty with me? Like, if you're gonna be, if you cared about corrupt cops and you're an officer, why would you get mad at me or talk to me like I'm the problem? If I'm telling you that somebody did something not proper, then you should be like, oh my God, we're gonna take a look at that. So can you tell me what happened? Like that, right? Instead, it turns into a thing like, well, I would have probably done the same thing. It's like, oh, you would be corrupt too? Oh, these are the investigators. That's lovely.